What is up, guys? It is Relish. Today we're talking about finding sunrise and sunset times, how I do it before I go on a through hike, and why. First, I want to share with you how I find this number, and then I want to show you how to find it. Unless you really enjoy night hiking, finding how many hours a day you're going to have of sunlight while on trail is really important. I'm not a huge fan of night hiking, and I try to avoid it whenever I can, and so it's important for me to accurately know how much sunlight I'm going to have each day. How many hours of sunlight I have helps me understand how many hours I'm going to plan on hiking, and consequently how many miles I'm going to plan that day. And that scales up to help me plan how long each leg of the trip is going to take me, and consequently how long the whole trip is going to take me. And that helps me plan logistics, how much food I'm going to need to ship in any boxes that I could potentially send, and how much I need to pack in between each resupply. I usually find this number at the very early stages of my very early research at the beginning of a through hike. This is one of the conditions that I look for very early on. If I'm planning a long trail that's potentially many months, I'm also going to map the change in daylight over time to make sure that my mileage estimates are changing with the changing seasons. So typically in an American summer, at the beginning of through hiking season, there will be a ton of daylight in, say, June, and then as you march through August and then September and October, you'll be getting less daylight. And so it's really important for me to understand how much time I'm going to have each day so I can plan how far I'm going to walk. Once I know how many hours of sunlight I have, I'll conservatively estimate how many hours I plan to be hiking each day. Let's say I have 14 hours of sunlight and I try to be kind of on trail that entire time. Let's say I take an hour out for lunch and then 1 to 2 hours out for other breaks during the day. I know 14 minus like 3 hours, I'll be hiking conservatively around 11 hours that day. Then based on other research about the trail, I'll estimate my average pace. Usually that'll be between 2 and 3 miles an hour, so I might say on average I'll be hiking 2.5 miles an hour. And then I know a full day of hiking will look something like 27.5 miles. And then with that I can begin to plan out how long the leg of each trip's going to take, and then from there plan out my resupplies. Alright, now that we know what I'm going to do with this information, let's head over to the computer and figure out how to get it. So finding this information is really quite simple, and after you've done it once, it's very easy to just kind of step and repeat, do it over and over again. I love the website that I use on a regular basis. It's really easy to navigate, and so let's go ahead and jump in. The first thing we're going to do is go to timeanddate.com, and then from there we want to go over to sun and moon, and then go down to sun calculator. From there you can easily input any city, zip code, or latitude and longitude coordinates, where you're going to be or anywhere near the trail. I'm planning a hike along the Pacific Northwest Trail later this year, so I'm going to pass Bellingham, Washington, and so let's go ahead and use that for our example. Type in Bellingham, Washington. So what's going to pop up is a bunch of information about Bellingham, Washington. It'll tell us the current time, a bunch of random information about the sun, and sunrise and sunset today, but that's not the information we need. So we're going to scroll down to this portion where you can actually fast forward or go backward, date and time. I'm planning to start my hike mid-June, so I'm going to go to June. The year is 2020, click go. The page will refresh and we'll have all the information that we need. So for June of 2020, I'm going to have every single day of the month. I'm going to have the sunrise time and the sunset time, the total daylight time, the difference from the previous day, and then it's going to give you a bunch of twilight times. The twilights all have different technical definitions, but the one that's kind of important, or at least worth knowing, is called civil twilight. The technical definition of civil twilight is the period of sunset or sunrise ending or beginning when the sun is about 6 degrees below the horizon. More pragmatically, it's about the 20 or 30 minutes before sunrise or after sunset when there's still enough light to be useful. I try to be in camp at this time, either in the early morning or in the evening, trying to set up or take down my camp. Now, as you may have already realized, this data is super granular and pretty much unnecessarily so. I I really don't need the exact minute that sun rises at every day, but I really just want a general sense of when sunrise and when sunset is, so I kind of know when to be in camp. So let me show you an example of how I've kind of sifted through this data. I've already pulled all of the sunrise and sunset times for my Pacific Northwest Trail through hike, and I'll show you guys how I've broken this data down and to what degree of granularity I use it. This page kind of shows you all of the sunrise and sunset times that I've collected. I've collected sunrise and sunset for 6 different locations that are near where I'll be hiking on the PNT. And then as well as the first of each month for any of the months that I might be hiking. I'm planning for a mid-June start date, and then hopefully I'll be off in early to mid-September, and I just captured a bunch of sunrise and sunset times around that. In yellow is highlighted about the time that I plan to be near each location. So I'll be starting my hike near Port Angeles, Washington, so the date and times that are relevant are highlighted in yellow, and then as I hike eastward, I'll be near Bellingham around July, and then Glacier around August, and so on. So I collected all of the times, but generally the ones in yellow are about what I need. I just pull the sunrise and sunset times for the first of each month, and then based on the first of the next or preceding month, I know kind of which way sunrise and sunset are trending, if I'm gaining more time or less time and to what degree. So just as an example here, I know when I start the trail, the sun is going to be rising around 5:15 and it's going to be setting at around 9 p.m. each day. I'm going to have about 16 hours of sunlight. But then as I get further on the trail and I head further north, you'll see that if I'm wrapping up near Jasper or Lake Kakwa later in September, I'm going to have a lot less time. I'll have only about 13 hours of sunlight. So this helps me know about how much time I'm going to have each day. So that's about it. That's why and how I use sunrise and sunset times, why I find them, and what I do with them. I hope that you guys found this helpful, and I hope that it's easier for you to plan the logistics of your next through hike and how long you're going to be hiking each day as a result. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them below and I'll be happy to answer them. If you found this video helpful, please do me a huge favor and hit that like button. And until next time, I will see you guys later.